So I'm recording now. Okay. Let's see here. I'll go over to the Google Classroom for our class. And there's our Zoom link. Yeah, make sure you read all of this here when I post these announcements and that. It's important. And you probably did if you're here today because you knew about, our Zoom meeting and stuff like that. But I post important stuff here. Um, so I'm going to go straight to our Google class to the class work. And last week we just had a few really simple things to do, not much at all. You should have had that in by now. If for any reason it's not, get it in today. Just very simple introductory week. Now this week we're starting to get into some regular assignments. I'll get to the biggest one last. So the first one's going to be due this week. It's due Wednesday. Is this rather simple 15 tips for Google Docs. So there's a little video to watch about Google Docs. Of course, a lot of you use Google Docs and have used it before. So rather than start from the basics, there's no point in me. I do want to cover the Google apps. That is part of this class. But there's no point in me just starting at the beginning with what are Google Docs and how do you open a Google Doc and make a Google Doc and so forth. I think most of you are familiar with that. So I thought rather than start with the basics, I assume you've got some experience with Google Docs by now. I would just go straight to a tips and tricks assignment. So there's 15 tips and tricks with Google Docs. And then there's a little assignment you can click and open up to go with it. And it's pretty simple. Just kind of list and briefly explain the 15 tips. So you got the video there. Now, when you're doing stuff like this, sometimes, the school computer, if that's all you got, well, you make the best of it. You open two windows and you go between them and do the best you can. If you do have another device, whatever it may be, another computer, an iPad, even your smartphone, if you got one, sometimes it's nice to like watch the video on one device and then type up this sheet here, your assignment on another one. So, if you can do that, that'd probably be the best way to do it. If you have a personal computer or something you're using at home with a bigger monitor, that could also make it nice. Open two windows, have window on one side with the video you're watching and one window on the other side with the, in this case, I shared with you a pre-made Google Doc. Now, anytime I share with you a pre-made one with some questions in that, it's really easy. You just open it up and you start typing in your answers here, and then you'll submit it. I designed it that way. It's called copying to the student. Now, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, open up a blank Google Doc and just, put the name of the video and put the numbers and then do your answer, that would be okay too. But this is to make it a little bit easier for you. Okay, so that's just going to be about using Google Docs. And it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. It's worth 20 points. So do that by Wednesday. You can do it today or tomorrow. Be a good idea. Now, the next lesson here is about Google Drive. And again, I know a lot of you have used Google Drive, and if you're like me, there's probably more you can learn about it. Okay, you probably don't know everything you can ever do with it. And the better and more comfortable you get with Google Drive, or later we're going to be covering OneDrive in the future, the better, because you're going to use these drives a lot throughout your high school years, and you might be using them for years beyond that. So you never know. But Google Drive is where you go. From Google Drive, you can get the apps. I'm actually going to go ahead and go to Google Drive myself rather than just talk about it. May as well go do it. So I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to share my blank one here that I just opened up. Okay, so here I am at Google. Now, I have a couple ways I can do this, but I'm going to just go to drive.google.com. There's a couple ways you can do this. Now, I went straight into Google Drive because it already knows me. I'm already logged into my school login here. So it took me straight into Google Drive, drive.google.com. Now, if you're already logged into, say, the Google browser, I'll go back one on purpose. Say I'm just here, but I'm logged in. I could just hit the little waffle that we call this the waffle. And when you open this here up, this is where your Google apps are. Now, the organization of your apps might be slightly different than mine. In other words, you might have YouTube up here and I have it down here and so forth. But somewhere in there, you might have to scroll down a little bit, you're going to find Drive, which we'll get to in a moment. I think you guys are already familiar with Docs, Slides, Photos, which we'll be covering, YouTube, which we'll be using, Meet. I don't use Meet. I use Zoom instead, but a lot of teachers use Meet. Of course, our Google Classroom you can go to here. Sites, we'll be making a website in Sites. Of course, Google Search, Calendar. Gmail, we don't use with our school accounts. I think you guys know that. We use Outlook. So that's the one kind of weird thing. You have the same login, but you're doing Google stuff and Microsoft stuff at the same time with the same login. And so forth. I'm not going to go over all the Google apps, but you can go through there. Okay. Now, when you go to Drive, there's a couple of things. First of all, I think everyone's familiar that you see your stuff, whatever you got in your Drive. Some of you may have a lot of stuff like me. Some of you may not have much. You got folders, and you can make more folders and put stuff in folders and put folders in folders. And this is free online storage. And I think it's pretty unlimited with our school accounts. So it's really nice. The only downside is when you do graduate, there'll come a day when this is no longer your account. Then you'll have to want to back up anything that's important to there. But you can access this easily from anywhere, any device, home, school, wherever. So like I said, you can make folders in here. Over here, you can click new, and under new, you can upload files. Maybe you have some JPEGs you want to put in there. You can use it, store them there. You can upload entire folders filled with stuff. Now, it doesn't have to be Google stuff. It can be anything. There's Google Docs there. If you want to make a Google Doc, you can click. It comes in untitled. There's a fresh new Google Doc. You can start typing and saving. And again, should be review. You can also go to any of the other Google stuff, sheets, slides, forms, etc., depending what you want to make. Then they got shared drives. I'm not going to go into that right now. In computers and recent and shared with me. Now, one thing is with assignments that we do in this class, do not share them with me. Okay. Now, I say that there's some exception. We'll discuss it, but don't just share with me. That's not how you submit things. Okay. You submit them in Google Classroom, you turn them in. I've had students share things with me saying, Mr. Rio, I turned it in. I shared it with you. No, that's not how you turn it in. Okay. Now, there may come a day that we want to share something for some other reason. Maybe you shoot some video and I need the video for HCTV and I want you to share it with me. So that would be a reason for that. Now, I keep all kinds of stuff in mind. I do have some student assignments in here. I got some other things I make for my classes and so forth. Okay, so that's just a little bit about Google Drive. And I'm going to go back to our Google Classroom here. Cool. Okay. Now we are back into Classroom. So this assignment here, it's got the directions right here. You use a Google Doc. You're going to look at this. There's actually a couple videos here. There's one video, Google Drive tutorial, 13 minutes, not too long. Here's a video, 12 minutes, 7 Google Drive tips and tricks. And there's 2 different videos about taking screenshots. Okay. I don't know, it might be the same one. I don't know. I have to take a look at that. Maybe it's the same thing. But either way, you're going to have to do a screenshot. And that's something you can always look up, practice. It's not hard. Usually involves a couple of keyboard commands and knowing where it saves the screenshot. Okay. So that's the assignment for Google Drive. Now, this last one here, intro computer tech terms. Okay. We don't do a lot of terms in this class, but we are doing introductory terms. What are these? Well, here's a PDF you're going to be using. And this was originally made in PowerPoint, but you can save a PDF from PowerPoint. So if you want to share it more like a regular document, these are intro computer literacy terms. So you're going to be making your own slideshow for this. You can use Google slides, which most people do. If you really like PowerPoint, I haven't covered it yet in here, where you can use PowerPoint. If you had access to Apple's Keynote and you wanted to use Keynote, that's okay. But you're going to essentially make the same thing. So what does that mean? Okay, whichever one you open it up, the first title is going to be a title slide. And you can pick a theme, whatever you want. Put in this info, intro computer terms, computer literacy, if you want to put winter 2021, and then put your name, not my name. And then go find some pictures. Now, I purposely found a Windows computer and a Mac computer, so I had one of each. And then I found this here. I made this little logo type thing myself. Okay. Then it's going to take you through these different terms. I'm not going to cover them all today, but I want these numbered. And when you get to the second slide in Google Slides, it's designed like this. It's designed with a title up here. So that's where you put your key term. And then it's designed with an area down below. You can put a hyphen or whatever it may be, bullets or something, and put in the definitions or whatever. So these are going to be your intro terms, which, like I said, I'll talk more about another day. Now, I want you to put on the same amount of graphics and photos that I have on here. So for this one here, there's 3. Now, I happen to pick 3 of the operating systems that exist, Mac OS, Linux, and Windows, in this case, 10. If you want to do those, fine. Just go look up your own. It doesn't have to be the exact same pictures or graphics. This one here, I looked up an Intel computer chip that they put goes in computers. That's a big part of the power and the brains of the computer. Now, this one here, I'm going to go over in tomorrow's Zoom session how to find this here. And this is a graphic that also doubles as a big part of your definition. And this here, byte, B-Y-T-E, which is at the heart of all these other measurements we use for memory, like kilobyte and megabyte and gigabyte and terabyte. And it's funny how things change. In the 90s, when I first bought a Mac computer, I had 4 megabytes of RAM memory. Now I go by, on my one we got right here, I got 16 gigs. Okay, 16 gigs of RAM memory. So it's changed immensely the amount of memory that we have. Software, there's all kinds of stuff that qualifies as software, but it's electronic. You can't touch it. Now, if you do get a disk or something with software on it that's holding the software, the disk itself is not the software. And again, this should be pretty self-explanatory, the types of photos and graphics. Now, this one here, I did something unique. I took a picture of a monitor and I put this on top of it. So if you can figure out how to do something like that, great. And if you can't, not the end of the world. And like I said, I'll cover more of this here later. We're getting into some internet stuff and all that. Okay, so you're going to be making this stuff. By the way, I'm using the Ethernet today. Is the video, both audio and the video itself, pretty good? Does it seem to be working okay? You can put it in the chat if you want. Okay, my goal is with the Ethernet, it might be a little smoother and a little better. So yeah, that's basically, I try to keep these fairly short unless I got some lesson or something I need to do. So you're going to make a Google slide, open up in one window. Here, I'll go ahead and bring this here back. Okay, so you open one window, a new Google slide, and then you're going to be making stuff. And after the first title, they all should have like a title area and a bulleted area. You can just type it in. It's not that much to type. Most of these are fairly short. If you can figure out a way to copy and paste, go for it. I'm not sure if that'll work on here, but if you can figure it out. And Bluetooth, some of these things you're already familiar with, but there might be some new things, or maybe you haven't really given a lot of thought of all these here yet. So a big part of what you're going to do is these intro terms. So you're going to do those this week. And what I would do is go through and put in all the text first, and then go have fun going looking up some images to go with it. And you might have to do searches under different types of searches depending on the kind of images you're looking for. Okay. We had some more joins today. Okay. So that's pretty much it. We got our 3 assignments this week. And if you got questions, you can contact me anytime with email or um, text messages that are in my information there on Google Classroom. And I'm at school here. Some Wednesdays I'll be here, but this week probably not. But I'll let you know in case anybody ever wanted to come in on a Wednesday. But this week I'm not planning to be here on Wednesday. And yeah, so you got your slides to do. You got your couple of other assignments. Let me go one more time back to Google Classroom. Okay, so this here's the big one, 50 points. You could sit and knock it out in probably 2 hours and do a good job. If you want to spread it out over a few days and start today and do 30 minutes a day or something until you get finished. So you have a few options there. The Google Drive and lesson and assignments really practical and should be pretty easy to do on your own. And the 15 tips for Google Docs should be useful. And there's an assignment to go with that. So always read the directions because sometimes the assignment's built in, or sometimes so always read the directions because I usually explain everything in there too. I give you here also. Don't forget there's some the videos and the how to do a screenshot here for this lesson, the Google Drive lesson. I try to be as thorough. I redid things from last semester. I didn't just share the same old lessons. I redid some, changed some things around on, try to make it better, more relevant. So it's all good skills. It's, keeping it real practical this semester. The biggest one this week is your tech terms, your Google Slides there. You can make it in PowerPoint or Keynote if you want, but most people do Google Slides. Do a good job. After you get all the text in there, put in your images. They don't have to obviously be the same images I got. I'm going to show you how I'd get the one from megahertz, which does double as a definition. So I will be helping you find that tomorrow in the Zoom session. So that's it. That's our 3 assignments for the week. Not too bad. If you get an early start, spread it out and easily be done before Friday. And then we'll be moving forward. We'll be doing, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing the Google Docs. Google apps, different Google things about Google. We'll be starting Microsoft Word coming up in probably another week or two. And of course, we're always doing some miscellaneous stuff in between. Eventually, we're getting into some audio editing and video editing, and all that will be coming up. And feel free to, on these assignments, ask anytime questions. You should have all your stuff in from last week. If you're not here and you're playing catch up, get that in real quick. You can probably do it today because there's not that much there. And I'll be checking in with you guys on an as needed basis. So that's it. That's our day here. I'm going to undo that. I'm back. Everyone have a great day. Be careful if the roads get bad and we get snow. Okay, take care, Jody and Alex and Hanson and Matt and Isabel and Sarita and Aiden and Colin and other Aiden and Tyler and Braden. And if I missed anyone, I'm sorry. Take care, everybody. Yep. See you around. I'll go ahead and I'm going to end this here in just a moment. Thanks for the goodbyes and all that good stuff. And stay caught up, get to work on it today. And you can knock it out even early before the end of the week. Okay. Take care. I'm going to end the meeting. I'll upload the recording.